Do not know what happened there. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I seem to have lost you. I don't know if you could see me, but yes, I went missing. So, very quickly to recap, because I've completely lost my train of thought now, and everything's gone wrong because the live cancelled itself. Okay, so, talking about fruity fragrances, I want to show the evolution of fruity fragrances from cheap and cheerful to very luxurious. The first one we've started talking about is Fantasy by Britney Spears. This is a fragrance that I love. It has a horrible, horrible bottle. The worst of all the bottles, this particular edition. But it's a really great example of how a cheap fruity fragrance can actually be really effective, because it's got great juicy notes like lychee, kiwi and quince. It's kind of very very light, very airy, but also quite juicy and mouthwatering. Then all this like kind of gourmand stuff underneath, like chocolate. There's a cupcake accord in there, which I really, really respect, because cupcakes. And lovely musk as well. So this is a really nice fragrance. People know what you're wearing. So if you wear this, no one's going to be fooled that you're wearing some very expensive niche fragrance. They're going to know that you're wearing Britney Spears Fantasy. But you should own that, I think, because it's a great fragrance. And I think if you want a fruity fragrance to kind of really try the epitome of fruit fragrances, this is a really great one to buy. And it's really, really cheap. It's like, I think like 20 quid a bottle. It's a great fragrance. So, Britney Spears Fantasy, I love this. I wear this. Not that often outside the house, I'll be honest. But I do enjoy it very much. Okay, so. Next then, I want to talk about a type of fruity fragrance called a fruituli fragrance. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one. So fruituli is a fruity fragrance that's paired with patchouli, because patchouli actually has kind of a fruity facet naturally. And you get, when you pair like a fruit note with patchouli, you get this kind of really like fizzy, gauzy, hazy, kind of bubbly type of fragrance. It kind of makes the fragrance, it's like carbonating the fruit almost. It gives it like a fizziness. So I think there's a really good example of that in Euphoria by Calvin Klein, which is a really, really interesting bottle actually. I've just dug this out of my my stash for the first time in ages. It's kind of quite a sculptural bottle. Anyway, so this one, it has notes of, I think it's persimmon is one of the notes, pomegranate, and it's got sort of green apple as well. So it's got lots of fruity notes, but then this massive whack of patchouli underneath. So you've got this nice kind of dichotomy of the darkness of the patchouli, but also the lightness of the fruit. So it kind of, clouds together to make something really, really effervescent and kind of energetic. And I think Euphoria is one of Calvin Klein's best fragrances. I think it's kind of a hidden gem in their collection, because it came out and it was very popular then, but I don't think many people wear it now, because you know what Calvin Klein is like. They bring out 1 billion fragrances a year, so it's hard to keep up. So I really like this one because I think it's quite modern, it's quite chic. It's a really good example of the fruituli genre. So you smell it and you get these like kind of really silky fruit notes. They're kind of a little bit jammy, they're quite tart, but anything that would make them sickly is kind of contrasted by the dryness of the patchouli, which brings like an inkiness, kind of an earthiness, but also that fizziness that makes it really, really quite light and effervescent. So I feel like this is quite, it's like fantasy but evolved. It's still got some fun to it, but it's actually a lot more elevated. And I feel like, whereas you probably want to wear this to a job interview or on a date, unless, I don't know, you're dating a cupcake. I wonder if you could date a cupcake. Anyway, I digress. You could wear this on like a date. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say mature. I hate the word mature because it's like fragrance is ageless. You shouldn't pick it by age, but it feels just like a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more like, I actually am, I am actually trying. Yes, Euphoria, really, really good fragrance actually. Hidden gem. Bring it back. I think we should talk about this a bit more. I know it's not been discontinued, but like bring it back into the zeitgeist is what I mean, because this is a damn good fragrance. So if you want to try something fruity, but you're not like, I don't want to smell like a cupcake or date a cupcake a la fantasy, then fine. I don't judge you on that. I mean, it's wrong, but I don't judge you. Whereas with this, you can actually wear something a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more zhuzh, shall we say. Okay, moving on then up the luxe arc, we have these. Does anybody recognise these beauties? Any fans of Guerlain out there? Any La Petite Robe Noir fans? So, I think Guerlain launched this quite a few years ago now. I think it's like 2012, 13, a long time ago. La Petite Robe Noir, which is their version of the little back dress. I'm sure Chanel are livid that they never thought of, copywriting that as a fragrance name. But hey, you snooze, you lose, Chanel. There are a number of versions of this. Lots of versions, lots of dresses. It's a really clever idea when you think about it, because they can do an entire wardrobe of dresses, which they kind of have done. So you've got a number of different versions. I'm going to talk to you about 2.5 today, and I'll explain that why. So this is the Eau de Parfum. This is the OG. This is the one that I think is the best in the collection. We also have the Intense, and I want to talk about that because it's so different from the original, but both are really, really fruity. But I also have this little gem, which is the original. So if you don't know, this fragrance here that you can buy on Escentual was actually launched as a boutique exclusive. So I think it was about 2009, around that time. They launched it as a boutique exclusive. And I bought this from the Guerlain boutique in Epcot in Florida. My husband's really into theme parks, and that was like kind of the trade-off. We can go on a Florida holiday to all the theme parks if I can go to the Guerlain boutique. And this is what I bought. So I still have this. It's very, very similar to the original, but I just wanted to show you that this is kind of a pretty rare treat because it is the original, the OG of OGs. So yes, Le Petit Robe Noir. I wanted to talk about this because it showcases cherry, and I'm obsessed with cherry. I think cherry is like one of the nicest notes. I don't know about you, but I don't like cherries. I would never eat an actual cherry because like I don't feel like I need nutrition. So I wouldn't eat that. But I do love really synthetic, awful cherry flavour. So if you give me some Cherry Aid or like a Mr. Kipling Cherry Bakewell, I'm all for that. That's my lifeblood. I could survive on Cherry Aid and Cherry Bakewells because I am the epitome of health. So I'm not going to eat an actual cherry, but I do like cherry flavouring and I do like the smell of cherries. Does that make sense? Anyway, so for me, this is a dream. And what I really like about this is they wanted to create the idea of black, of the little back dress, which is very chic, it's timeless, everybody should have one in their closet, by creating black, but not in a conventional way. So it's not like leather, it's not oud, it's not like smoky woods. They've gone from like really deep stewed cherries and black tea and patchouli and rose. So there's like this like idea of like darkness, but it's like, it's not boring, it's exciting. So let me spray this. I haven't sprayed this in ages, I'll be honest. Oh my god, it's so good. It's just heaven. Oh, okay, I've got a cat. Excuse me. Right, sorry. Bonus cat for you. Let's talk about this. So I absolutely adore this. I think this is a brilliant fragrance. It's got black cherry and almond and just kind of general like berries going on in here with a beautiful like rose note. And roses are particularly jammy and fruity anyway. So when you put berries with them and cherries and things like that, really emphasizes that facet of the rose. So you get something that's kind of like juicy and edible, but not quite because it's a rose. And I think there's something really luxe about like the taste of rose and things, because if you add the berries and give it that jammy facet, it almost makes you think of a gourmand rose. So if you've ever been to La Durie and had, I don't know, like a rose macaron, or those like little Ispahan pastries they do, which are like heaven, it kind of gives you that vibe. So it's quite luxurious in that way. Then you've got like licorice, black tea, which gives kind of a smokiness. And patchouli. It's just, this is such a damn good fragrance. They were so clever to launch this because I feel like it's interesting enough not to be for everyone. And I think that's a really good thing. Like, you're not going to smell, if we look at Euphoria, everybody wore Euphoria, everybody wore Fancy. But I don't think everybody would wear this, which is one of its strengths. And I think it's really just so chic. And I know that when women I know, like at work or friends, have asked me for a fragrance recommendation, I recommend this quite a lot, and without fail, they always fall head over heels for it because I think it's so unique to people. The original, the one that came out as a boutique exclusive, is kind of the same, but it has a bit more of a pastry vibe in it. So I do get more of a Bakewell tart from it, which, as I've already explained, very happy with that. Love a Bakewell tart. Have been known to eat a pack of 6 in one sitting. There you go. You can judge me on that. I'm not ashamed. I am not ashamed. Okay. So they do a number of dresses in the La Petite Robe Noir collection. This is the Intense, and I wanted to talk about the Intense because it has a blueberry note, which is the strangest of things. Who would have thought of putting blueberry in a fragrance? So this actually, what I would say, intense is a bit of a misnomer here because it doesn't feel intense. It's just different. So it's actually a very different fragrance from this one. This one is all about, if I would describe it in 3 words, it's blueberry candy floss that's got blown away. That's like 7 words, but hey. So like if you're eating blueberry flavoured candy floss on a pier and then, I don't know, a seagull steals it or the wind blows it away from you, that's what this is because it's so breezy. And I think they had a little subtitle about this, like it's called Le Petite Revoir, My Dress Blowing in the Breeze or something, because if you look at the dress at the back, I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of like blowing up in a kind of Marilyn Monroe style. So this is really candy floss. It's got like ethyl maltol, like strawberry candy floss note, kind of a little bit toasted. And then this juicy blueberry note on top. And it's really quite light. So what I like about it is because candy floss things can be really kind of, you know, heavy. If you think of Angel, that's got kind of a candy floss note in it that's very like, I don't know, you feel like it's, some people think it's death by candy floss. I think, what a way to go. Sign me up for that. Anyway, that's a digression. This is very, very light. It's kind of got the airiness of spun sugar. So it's really gorgeous. And I think, again, a hidden gem. So I know this one's, you know, this is quite popular, but I feel like not so many people are going for this one, the intense version, which is in this lovely blue bottle. Definitely worth a try because it's just so light. And so it's quite elegant for like a candy floss. So if you're looking for a gourmand fragrance, a fragrance that's fruity, sweet, but very, very luxurious, La Petite Revoir Intense. Totally here for that. Okay, we have 3 more. We're moving up. I felt like I probably should owe an apology to Chanel because I did just mock them for not patenting the little black dress. So we'll talk about Chanel. I like this one because this is Chance Automne. This is the Eau de Parfum version. I like this just because it smells like strawberries. I don't know if anyone's a big fan of strawberries. Strawberries are probably my favourite fruit. I love a strawberry. Love strawberries and cream. Love chocolate dripped strawberries. This has actually been very, very, a lot of me talking about food, hasn't it? I'm quite hungry. I don't know if that's coming across. Yeah, I am hungry. I like this because it's like a really like beautifully chic strawberry. So it's all kind of like, it's all musks and very creamy musks. So it's kind of like really like white petals and creaminess. But then it's got grapefruit and quince. And together those notes kind of give this like really nice dewy strawberry effect. And I feel like if you're going to wear something as, I don't know, unsophisticated as strawberries, you should do it with a Chanel badge. Why not? This is lovely. I think it's really nice. It's very, obviously I don't like to gender fragrances, but it is very, very feminine. I don't know that there would be many men that would feel comfortable wearing this. But it's just lovely. It's like a really lovely jasmine. You've got kind of like the fruitiness of the petals, but it's accented by this dewy strawberry note. And I think it's really, really beautiful. Anyway, we'll move on because I've got 2 very exciting things I want to talk to you about. So one of my favourite fruity notes is something called Cassis. And I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's black currant buds. And they are really fascinating. If you smell material on its own, it is quite horrendous. It's got this intensely kind of like Ribena-esque black currant vibe, but also it feels very high in ammonia. So it's kind of got that like peroxide hair dye vibe, and also it's a little bit like Uranus. It's kind of animalic. It's very strange. And obviously when you have lots of materials in fragrance, if you were to smell them on their own, you would think, who on earth would put that in a fragrance? It would be horrendous in a fragrance. But that is the magic of perfumery. You can take something that is fascinating and varied as a smell, but also on its own not pleasant, put it into something and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So that's Cassis. I find that just a really, really gorgeous fragrance material. And I wanted to show you it in 2 guises because these I think are 2 very luxurious fragrances. So the first one is Tuberose Mystique by Bulgari. This is for people who don't like tuberose. I really think you should try this. Obviously tuberose is a massive white floral. It's quite animalic. It's quite heady. It's quite bubblegummy. It can be very intensely sweet and rubbery and a bit fleshy. But this is where they've kind of really paired it with this cassis note, this like fruity blackcurrant note, to bring out this entirely new facet of tuberose that I'd never smelled before, which is kind of like this berry element. So you've got this really, it's so intensely kind of jammy, but it's also, I don't know, they've got like vanilla and myrrh in there. So you've got this really plush, kind of exotic base that's very gauzy, very soft, but very resinous. And you kind of feel like the tuberose is really kind of, you know, in the background. So you've got this beautiful fruitiness, this jamminess that's so intense. Almost like the jam colour itself is so purple it's black. Do you know what I mean? So it's like really, really intensely stewed. And I just think it's so chic. I feel like you should wear this, like, on the streets of Venice, wearing the most ridiculous, I don't know, couture gown ever. It's like the dressiest fragrance ever. It's just so... I don't think you could wear it in the day. I think you would have to wear it at night. So we've gone a long way from fantasy, which, I mean, you could wear with anything, probably with a onesie, or, you know, like a kind of unicorn onesie or a Juicy Couture tracksuit, if those still exist. Whereas this is like full couture. It's so far removed. And it's still a fruity fragrance. I told you that fruity fragrances were great. I told you. I'm never wrong. Last one I want to talk about is a very luxurious fruity fragrance. Again, it's got a Cassis note in it. But also it's got kind of like a very intensely floral aldehydic thing going on, which is interesting. But this is just to show you that even like really luxurious niche houses are looking at fruity notes and creating fruity fragrances. So this one is Imitation Woman by Amouage. And this fragrance was created kind of inspired by the 70s. So it's meant to be about, you know, the big, like, fruity, intense, big hair fragrances, lots of aldehydes. And it's a bizarre fragrance, but I love it. And this is, again, a Cassis. And this one, whereas the Tuberose Mystique focuses on the jammier facets of blackcurrant buds, this is not shying away from those more intense animalic facets that I was talking about. Don't worry, it doesn't smell like pee or anything, but it's just like really, I don't know, when you smell this, and I'm sure you, I mean, those on Escentual or watching who will have smelled this will know, it's quite an intense experience, this. And I think you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. You're going to want to either like douse yourself in it or throw it very, very far away from you, blast it off into space because it's not your thing. So this is... What I find fascinating is so retro but so modern. So you've got these aldehydes, and if you're not familiar with aldehydes, they are the kind of thing in Chanel No. 5 that give it that kind of sparkle. They smell quite lemony, they're quite fizzy, they can kind of smell like snuffed out candles. Like there's a really, really strange, thing to aldehydes. And there are many different types of aldehydes used with different effects. But it's that kind of like sharp whooshing part of a fragrance is an aldehyde. That is intensified by the blackcurrant buds and the Cassis, which give it this like really intense, like if you were spraying yourself with Ribena scented hairspray. That's the best way I can describe it. And I feel like Ribena need to get into the hairspray market because I would buy so much of that. And I don't even have any hair to spray. Seriously. I just love the smell of the stuff. And then it goes really, really floral. So it's kind of orange blossom, rose, lang-ylang, jasmine. So like really intensely white floral. But surprisingly, at the base of this, it's quite warm. So it goes into kind of a sandalwood and incense and quite ambery base, which is a bit of a surprise. So it gets quite sweet and resinous. So it's a real hot... This is a journey. I mean, and it's actually inspired by Christopher Chong, who was the creative director at Amouage at the time. His kind of journey from, I think, Hong Kong, I believe, to New York and his immigration. So I suppose in the sense that it's a journey, that probably makes a lot of sense. And he was kind of walking down the streets on the Lower East Side of New York and seeing all these glamorous like club kids coming out of the clubs first thing in the morning, hair still like perfectly coiffed, wearing really cool clothes. And that's kind of how he got his, entry into the world of glamour. So it's such a glamorous fragrance. I really love this. I think it's so unique. As you can tell, I've not worn it that much because I suppose I don't have that glamorous a lifestyle. I obviously don't go out enough. But I do love it. I really love it. I think it's great. So let's just do a quick recap because this has been from cheap to chic in terms of fruity fragrances. We started talking about Fantasy by Britney Spears in my horrendous limited edition bottle with this awful snake print. I'm so sorry. I do actually have a bottle of the proper one in the nice pink with the little green gemstones, but that's actually at the lab, so I haven't got that today. So beautiful, iconic, fruity cupcakes. We love cupcakes. I'm really hungry for cupcakes. Lychee, kiwi, really juicy, beautiful fruity fragrance. You can't go wrong with this. And it's cheap as chips. Then we talked about Euphoria, which was the fruituli, so the kind of contrast of fruit against darker notes that gives it like a fizziness and kind of contrasts it so it's not so sweet. Really cool fragrance, that. Then we got into the dresses. We started talking about Petite Revoir. I really love the cherry and black tea and licorice of this one, the original, the Eau de Parfum, but also like the blueberry candy floss of this one, which is the Intense. Gorgeous. Then we looked at Chanel and Chance Automne, the Eau de Parfum, which has this kind of strawberry vibe. It's like foam strawberries, those sweets you get in a pick and mix, but a fragrance that you can wear made by Chanel that's obviously much more luxurious than that. And then we talked about Cassis, the blackcurrant buds, this really, really chic tuberose that is kind of very, very couture, and this kind of nuts floral that is from Amouage that has blackcurrant buds and aldehydes and flowers and amber and is just insane and is a sight to behold. And it feels like, you know, you should have massive hair and shoulder pads when you wear it. So that is my introduction to fruity. I've got a piece coming up in a couple of weeks where we talk about some fruity fragrances. We've been doing these really exciting guides, which I've been really enjoyed writing because I feel like fragrance is so mysterious sometimes, and we use all these words and we say, you know, this is a floral fragrance. Well, what is a floral fragrance? What does that actually mean? So we've got one about fruity fragrances, which I'm really excited to share with you because I feel like, as I said at the beginning before the live cut out and I had to start it again, apologies for that, that fruity fragrances get a bad rap because they are seen as not luxurious or not cool, not modern, not, I don't know, they just seem, they've got this like young, they're for tweens, you know, they're kind of a bit dumb. And I think that's actually entirely wrong. I love fruity fragrances. I will happily wear Britney Spears Fantasy, and I will happily wear this Amouage and everything that I've shown you, because I think fruit is an essential part of fragrance, whether it's fruity fragrances on their own or fruit notes that are accenting others. I think it's a really great genre. I really love it, and I hope you will too. Happy to take your questions or happy to leave you alone. This is your choice, really. Is there any one of these that you think you're most excited about? That's what I'd really like to know, actually. If there any of these have I kind of inspired you to try any of them? That would be intriguing to know. I will give you time to type. Don't worry, I wait. I've got all day. We're on lockdown. I'm not going anywhere. Let's see if any comments. No comments. You're very quiet this morning. You're all very shy. Yeah. Yes, Nick, exactly. When I can see you, I will bring some Euphoria so you can smell it, because it's been a long, long time. Yes, do re-smell this, because this is, I think, actually, I pulled it out this morning because I had a thought as I was waking up this morning that, I should include this, and I went and found it, and I thought, I've really missed this. I think I'm going to give it a wear. I might wear that today. I might wear it today. So we've had the Bulgari is your choice, yeah, and the tuberose, yeah. I think this is such a gorgeous fragrance, and Bulgari, actually, I think is a really great fragrance brand. I think they very quietly do great things. So there you go. What's the difference in a citrus and a fruit? Well, a citrus is kind of a very specific type of fruit. So when we talk about citrus, we talk about lemons, oranges, and bergamots, etc. The fruit is a little bit wider than that. Greek Goddess London says she loves all the Le Petit Robe Noir. Yeah, I think they're great. There's some really great. They did some great ones. They've done actually a really beautiful one, which is discontinued now. Well, they did a couple which I think they discontinued. I don't know if Karen's still watching. If Karen can still can tell me whether they still do the green one, which was kind of the pistachio one. I don't know. Was that the Eau Fresh, Karen? I don't know if you're there. Don't know if they still do that one, but they did this one which they discontinued, which was the Couture, which had an apple note, which was I kind of obsessed with. So good. It's like all of that cherry and stuff, but with kind of like an apple chypre thing going on. Really, really good. Anyway, what I could do is sit here pulling out things out of my cabinets and talking to you all day, but I'm conscious that you've probably all got things to do. Le Petit Robe Noir seems to have been the most popular, which is really exciting. So a little bit Dress Intense. Meg says she needs to try that. Yes, absolutely you do. Stephen says Le Petit Robe Noir Intense is my favourite one. I think it's like my second favourite. I tell you what I do like. I will show you one thing. Because I forgot that I have it. I have the Pure Parfum. Let me see if I can dip this, because it's been a long time since I've tried this. I'm going off on a tangent here, I apologise. But so this is the Pure Parfum of the La Petite Revoir. So it's most like the original. So the Eau de Parfum. Just dip. I love Guerlain Pure Parfum bottles. They're so gorgeous. So this is gorgeous. This is like all of that black cherry and tea, but more cherry pie. It's sweeter and it's more gourmand. So if you want something that's super, super like, you know, a treat, Pure Parfum, because you obviously don't get very much. It's quite expensive, but you get to obviously dab it on and it lasts a very, very long time. And it's kind of like the purest kind of distillation of the fragrance. It's like cherry pie. So good. Lola says, fruity stuff never appealed, but you've interested me. Well, thank you. I'm very glad to open your eyes. That's all I want to do, is kind of give people a bit of kind of background so that you can go and explore the world of fragrance. There's so much out there and there's so much that's exciting. And I think fruity fragrances, they deserve better. So you go out and try them. Thanks very much for joining. This has been really lovely. I've enjoyed it. I hope you all have a lovely Saturday. And I will see you next week. One last question is, gourmand is, very good question. Gourmand is fragrances that we would describe as edible. So if you get anything that has like a chocolatey note or is kind of sweet and delicious, it's a gourmand. So Angel was the first gourmand, very kind of famous fragrance. But, you know, you get really popular fragrances now that have like gourmand facets or are kind of classified purely as gourmand because they're kind of edible. So that's what a gourmand is. Have a lovely day. I will see you all soon. And thanks for joining.